try to give them to us. Yeah. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career.
Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that,
let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's gonna be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him.
Roy Jones Jr. believes Canelo Alvarez can no longer compete with a fighter like Terence Crawford, pointing to a noticeable decline in Canelo's energy and sharpness. He expressed disappointment in Canelo's current form and questioned why he's faded at this stage in his career. In contrast, Jones praised Crawford's focus, determination, and elite skills. He argued that the weight difference won't matter, as Crawford's technique, timing, and ring IQ can offset any size disadvantage. According to Jones, facing someone as relentless and skilled as Crawford will expose Canelo's current vulnerabilities.
It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch. Yeah. And what I'm seeing is I see a hungry Crawford, a Crawford that has been looking for the opportunity for a long time, finally getting the opportunity, and really ready to grab the opportunity. And with Canelo, I see a guy who not necessarily hungry, but loves to entertain, loves to give us the big fights. Yeah. Always tried to give the big fights. He finds a way to give us big fights. Yeah. Not gonna always win them, but he always try to give them to us. Yeah. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career. I don't know. It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch.
Yeah. You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
Jones also warned that if Canelo enters the ring overconfident, assuming an easy win over Crawford, he could face a harsh reality. Underestimating Crawford's skills and strategy, Jones said, might lead to a tough and potentially punishing loss for Canelo.
It's a hard one to call, and I'm gonna tell you why it's hard to call. It's a hard one to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo come to the dance.
Olympic boxer Omari Jones strongly believes Terence Crawford will emerge victorious against Canelo. He noted that Crawford's weight gain has been smartly managed. Unlike many fighters who bulk up carelessly when moving divisions, Crawford has maintained his speed and agility through proper diet and conditioning, and his disciplined preparation makes the fight an even stronger opportunity for him.
The grit and me personally meeting Crawford several times, it's like the man is just so competitive. It's like I don't even have to say nothing to him. He'll just like, man, when we sparring, it's like his competitiveness is always gonna put him over the edge, and then he just has that I'm not gonna let you bully me, or his skill set. And it, I know they talk about Charlo when Charlo moved up, but I feel like it may be a little bit different for Canelo this time around because Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that, it's a win-win. So
you don't think Crawford, gaining that weight, because I saw him, he's pretty big. You don't think that's going to be a disadvantage for him in this fight?
No, it looked like he put it on the right way.
Jones added that while fighting a naturally bigger opponent is physically demanding, Crawford's discipline and commitment will help him adapt. He's not just adding weight for size. He's reshaping his body to carry that weight efficiently, while retaining the speed and sharpness that make him dangerous. For Jones, this fight showcases a focused athlete pushing his limits and proving he belongs at the highest level.
Right way. The nutrition, the like I said, the training, Crawford, he trains hard. So I feel like, I know they say he probably went up to like 185, so he has to lose that weight. But I think if he did it the right way, which I know he did, he'll be successful in September.
And I know, like we discussed earlier, we talked with your pro debut, and now you're 3-0. Your last fight, July 19th against Blanco, and it was actually your third win by knockout.
Yes.
Super proud of you. How are you feeling about your pro career so far?
I'm feeling great about my pro career. I definitely feel like it's off to a great start. My pro debut in my hometown, and then I was my second fight, Atlantic City, on the Boots card, and then my third fight on the Bam Rodriguez undercard. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, they're putting me on these cards, shining light on me, giving me the TV time.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi has taken notice of Crawford's physical transformation. Ahead of the fight, he observed that while Crawford has clearly added size, he hasn't sacrificed speed, footwork, or timing, something many fighters lose when moving up in weight. In Malignaggi's view, this gives Crawford a distinct advantage.
Listen, let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's gonna be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him. Good old Manny Pacquiao did the same thing, So there's times where it affects, and there's times where I guess if you put it on the right way. Only Crawford knows it because the way he's training, right? Because you're gonna be sparring with this added weight, you're gonna be doing the boxing training with this added weight, so you're gonna know how to maybe taper it down if you need to, or keep it going if you need to. I think over the course of camp, if you start to feel too yoked up, and you get big, and then you're sacrificing reflexes, you're sacrificing athleticism, I think you're gonna feel it.
According to Malignaggi, Crawford has struck the perfect balance, gaining the strength and durability needed to face a bigger opponent like Canelo, while preserving the agility required to execute his style. He credits Crawford's professionalism and attention to training details, noting that the added muscle appears to complement his existing skill set. Malignaggi believes Crawford can still perform at peak level and might even benefit from the added power.
Heavyweight kind of weight. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, Roy Jones is Roy Jones, but also Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford. But John Ruiz is not Canelo Alvarez. So that's another aspect of that comparison. And yes, to exactly what the champ said, exactly what Abel Sanchez said, you're going to put on weight, you're going to be a different fighter. And I can say this even as a fighter as myself, as I've gotten heavier in my retirement, I try and move around the gym, it just feels different. And even when you start camp, you feel different in the beginning than you do at the end. But listen, we're still 4 or 5 weeks away. I don't know exactly what Terence is weighing right now. And even if he does say what he weighs, man, he's gone out there and said he's weighed, all types of crazy numbers just to get people to get media to respond. So it's really not really going to know until the fight and we see these guys next to each other. He might look bigger right now, but he might not be that heavy.
Renowned boxing analyst Max Kellerman offered a detailed breakdown of the matchup, highlighting Crawford's jab as one of the most accurate and effective weapons in boxing today. Fast, well-timed, and rhythm-controlling, it gives Crawford a clear edge. Kellerman noted that while Canelo once had a sharp jab, it's declined in recent years. He also praised Crawford's in-fight adaptability and superior ring IQ.
Attribute. First attribute, best jab.
Crawford.
Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
Yeah. So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring.
Kellerman contrasted this with Canelo's reliance on natural size and strength, which often overwhelms smaller opponents. However, if Crawford can neutralize Canelo's pressure and force him into a tactical fight, Kellerman believes the advantage shifts clearly to Crawford. The combination of technical precision and high fight IQ, he says, is one of Crawford's biggest assets.
Early in his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton.
Popular boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult gave a balanced take on the fight. He acknowledged Canelo's physical strength and elite training habits, which have kept him dominant for years. Canelo's toughness, pressure fighting, and crisp counterpunching make him dangerous. At the same time, Showbiz praised Crawford's unique background, especially his early experience in wrestling, which gives him a keen ability to read and adapt to opponents under pressure.
Canelo uses his legs, he uses his core, and then his neck itself to lift up Bivol like Bivol was a featherweight. That is a huge representation of how strong Canelo is. When you look at his workouts, you can tell why he was able to do that. All these damn neck exercises that I wouldn't dare do. Okay, that stuff looks painful. The squatting and all that stuff that he's doing is exactly why Canelo Alvarez, honestly, is a strong fighter. He tried to do it again with William Skull. William Skull shook out of it, but he is a bull. Listen, Terence Bud Crawford is strong. He is, okay? And he understands leverage and he understands those things because he wrestled. Honestly, very true. But Saul Canelo Alvarez is also extremely strong.